Have you been wondering why your teacher is making you get the wood clarinet? Why are they making you get the professional mouthpiece? There's tons of reasons why, but today we're going to be learning how to build the clarinet, and I'm going to be answering most of the most. All right, let's do it. Have you been ever wondering why your teacher is making you get a wooden clarinet instead of a plastic one? Why are they making you get a professional mouthpiece? Well, we're going to answer that question and so many more in today's clarinet building demo. Stick around. Howdy everybody, my name is Andrew King and we are here at Alamo Music. Don't forget to visit us at alamomusic.com where we have this clarinet and so many more available ready for your perusing. So today we're going to be doing an unboxing video on a YCL-450N. This is going to be the nickel-plated version. There is also the YCL-450 by itself, but that one has silver keys. The reason for the big difference is sometimes it's just nicer to have nickel keys because they end up just lasting a little longer. They also tend to be a little less expensive, but the other reason is sometimes people just have allergies to certain metals, which I've run into in the past, so it's good to have the variety. But today we're going to be looking at the 450N with the nickel keys. This is the instrument that most people are going to be starting out on, other than like something from like the Advantage line and whatnot. But this one in particular, especially here in San Antonio, Texas, you're usually going to be starting on this one, or like a Buffet E11, which is also a really good starting clarinet. Now, there's a reason for this among why you want to get a wooden clarinet in the long run rather than a plastic one, and we'll go over that as we go. So let's go ahead and start out. We're going to unbox it real quick and get a look inside, and we'll go on. All right, cool. So we are looking at this clarinet. This is a wooden clarinet made of grenadilla wood. That's what's going to be standard among most wooden clarinets these days. Grenadilla is just a very nice, strong, resonant wood, and it's fantastic because of its low-end qualities that you want to get out of the clarinet. Now, the reason why your teacher's probably going to be asking you to get this clarinet rather than a plastic one, because there is like the YCL-200 series where it has the ABS material, and while those do play well, they honestly don't last as long as far as the material itself goes. It's not as strong. The way it breaks is a lot easier. The other big reason is tone quality. When it comes to the clarinet, you want to have a wooden clarinet because on the low end, you get a lot more of those deeper lows on the sound spectrum that allow it to resonate stronger. So if you're using a nice mouthpiece and you're just starting out and you have everyone on the same instruments, you might as well be asking for everyone to get the nicer instrument. The big reason too is that a lot of these instruments are going to be available on a nice, affordable rental plan, usually ranging from $50 to $70 depending on where you're from. These instruments are easily available, easily returnable, so you can return it at any time. The payments are easy to make as far as long-term payments, and you can return it at any time. The other cool thing is that these are a lot easier to fix as well. Wood is just easier to mend and put back together as far as any kind of broken chunks than plastic goes. Also, the parts and everything are very much more easily available, and they've been making these wooden clarinets for so long. A lot of the older music stores are just going to have the parts available and easy to get. So there's just tons of reasons why you would want to get one. So anyways, let's go ahead and start unpacking the rest of the plastic, and I'll see you in a little bit. Alrighty then, so we have the rest of this clarinet ready to go. So it's coming in with all the plastic and everything like that, packed really well in a nice, strong case. These cases, and I can say this from working in this industry for 10 years, these cases last forever. Now, you have 5 parts to a clarinet when you first open it up. You're going to have your top joint, which you can tell by these parts on the bottom, your bottom joint, which you can tell by this part up top, the silver part with the keys coming up. So you want the outside keys that kind of protrude to kind of meet up with each other. Now, when you put together a clarinet, it's really important to be careful of the keys. These are made of nickel, which is a mostly soft metal when it comes to bendability. Chipping and whatnot, not too much. They're really strong in that regard, but they do bend. And they're made very thinly and very intentionally for resonant purposes and also for ergonomic reasons. So you do want to be very careful. So when you're putting down together a clarinet, the first thing you want to do, especially if it's brand spanking new, is you want to get out what's called cork grease. Cork grease is going to be in this bag here, and usually with these new clarinets, especially from Buffet or Yamaha, you'll get kind of the premium treatment with this kind of stuff. Get a nice manual, all that fun stuff, but you also get this little tablet of cork grease. So you do this, you take your cork grease, put a little bit on your finger, and then you're going to just rub that across onto the clarinet over here, so then it kind of goes right here. So that's a little more than I needed. But anyways, you just take the two parts, hold it up here on the top so you're not grabbing onto the keys on the bottom. You might want to do that, right? You get better leverage just holding it right here and put it together. Unfortunately, what ends up happening, though, you're going to bend these keys, which are the most important keys on here. And so that ends up kind of hurting the instrument. So for longevity's sake, what you want to go ahead and do is hold the top end, hold the bottom end, and go ahead and put it together like this. So you go right here, kind of twist in. And then what you're going to find out is that there's two keys on the clarinet that really matter. It's going to be the two keys right here where the metal part ends, and that's where a lot of the cross action between the instrument is going to be happening. So you want these two to be touching when this comes together. Another way to do it is just making sure that all of your tone holes where your fingers go, that's all going to be matching across the board. So it's going straight down in a nice line like that, and that'll be good to go. The next part you want to do is going to be over down here. So again, grab the bottom where there's not a lot of keys. Take this right here, and it's going to be where your bell goes. And that goes on perfect like that. Then hold up top. You're going to put on what's called the barrel. The barrel is going to be awesome. You'll see in a second. And you want to put that on right there. And then you just go and take the mouthpiece, and you can put it on just like so. Again, remember to put on cork grease and whatnot. I can put on some cork grease and make it go a little deeper, but that'll make it so that it all comes together nicely. So you have your mouthpiece right here. That's the next part. Usually with these kind of clarinets, they don't come with them very often, but usually it'll come with one reed and the mouthpiece, which is what is going to make the sound together. We'll do that in a future video where we go over reeds and whatnot. But as far as putting together the clarinet and making it all work, that's all you really need to do. The cool thing about these clarinets and everything too is that they're really easy to kind of take apart too. So just make sure when you're taking it apart, hold on to the top end as well. Make sure you do that, and you can kind of twist out your barrel, put it back, and then when you're done with that, you can twist off your clarinet right down here. Put that off. And then when you're all done and said, take it off right here, and then put it back in the case. Whenever you're done playing, I always recommend taking a swab. This is either going to be a big old fluffy stick thing that I don't recommend getting too often, and then swabbing through it, or what I highly recommend is getting a silk swab. It's 100% silk material with a string, comes with a little dead weight in it. You just drop that into the clarinet, bring it out, and it swabs out any kind of liquid or condensation that would be coming through the instrument while you're playing. And there's tons of reasons to do that, from the pads being good quality, making sure the wood stays nice and dry and not super wet. These are wooden instruments, so if there's any kind of moisture, there's going to be problems later in the future. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of it that way. I also recommend getting a nice humidipack for the clarinet as well in the case, especially if you're going to be from a dry area. I live in San Antonio, Texas, so it's rather kind of humid for the most part, but there are some months in the later time that's going to be really, really hot. So during those times, I usually recommend, especially for clarinets in the long run, if you're having a wooden one, you really want to have these humidipacks. It's made by D'Addario. They're fantastic. You usually use them for guitars, but you can just slide them in. These cases come with a nice little slot right here where you can put any kind of extra items in there so that you have them on extra, and it works out really well. Be very careful also with the fact that these instruments are very vulnerable to temperature changes as well. So if it's like really hot and then you bring it into your house where it's really cold, these can crack quite easily, and cracks are going to be the hardest thing to fix on these instruments. What ends up happening is that you have to bring in for repair, and there's a very special machine that only certain stores are going to have to repairing those cracks, so be very careful. I always do recommend going rent-to-own route on these instruments. Basically, you pay $50 to $70. You have insurance on them, so the instruments are going to be in kids' hands. Sixth graders are going to do sixth grader things, unfortunately, and so you do want to make sure that you have a nice insurance plan that's going to back you up in case something, the inevitable, happens. Otherwise, if you take perfect care of it, say you're an adult and you're taking great care of it, I usually recommend bringing the instrument in every year, just for your yearly maintenance check. That's what that year of maintenance will usually pay for in the long run, if not less. So you want to make sure that everything's working right, because the more you play this instrument, the unfortunate part is also that these keys are going to bend over time. So you do want to make sure that you're taking good care of it across the board. So taking it in for a yearly checkup, it's kind of like going to the doctor's office, you know, making sure that you're taking care of it. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this. This was a cute little build tutorial, just making sure we all know how to take care of our clarinets. If you have any more questions, please visit us at alamomusic.com, where we have this instrument and so many more available. And leave a comment. When did you start playing clarinet? I do want to know if you're starting this year, or you're starting in the next year. Maybe you're a kid just trying to get into it. Maybe you're a parent trying to figure out how this whole thing's going to work out. Just let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.